All right, what's up, guys? Happy trade deadline day. Uh, I think is Nick. Are you happy about the moves that the Nets made today?
I'm not mad. I kind of wish they did more. Like, if you're gonna unload, unload. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty neutral day. Dinwiddie's gotten super sour, so pretty happy he's gone. I like the Schroeder deal because we get him for one more year. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping they'd maybe trade Finney Smith. We had DeJounte Murray rumors earlier in the week, so at least we did something. Can't say the same for your Lakers though.
Hey, it's all right. Nick and I were joking before the stream started that Lakers are just going to pick up whoever gets bought out anyway. So Spencer Dinwiddie, welcome to town. We'll be happy to have you.
Enjoy.
So we'll see what happens. Trade deadline days always fun in DFS because we just get some. Like I don't even think we have mega chalk. I think it was Dennis Smith was at the top. So Dennis Smith isn't even shown at the top of exposures. I feel like that should change, right?
Yeah, there's a few guys. The Nets only have 8 bodies tonight, so I think everyone there is going to be interesting. Only a 7.5 point spread last I checked, so should be a relatively close game. I mean, the pieces they lost are rotational guys, but it should be close enough. And then the Mavericks today are actually playing each
Um,
other, so they're both dealing with kind of thinner rotations. Um, and then yeah, I mean, what else? Utah shipped off a bunch of pieces. Should have some value there to look at. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's like a quiet trade deadline for most casual fans. But for us in DFS who are always looking at the end of these benches, like a lot did happen today, albeit a lot of like crappy players moving all over the place.
Yeah, the Knicks won, and I think the Mavericks won gigantic because they only gave up Grant Williams. And I had the wrong slate pulled up somehow, but yeah, Dennis Smith Jr. is the mega chalk today, 73%. No one else is one other player's above 30, Dante DiVincenzo. So happy DiVincenzo got some help in New York, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, he's the guy who needs it. Yeah, Eric tweeted me, "How much help does Dante need?" Because I
Yeah, I
tweeted
saw
that
that.
about
I
the
saw.
next one. Yeah,
I
I
took his
mean,
joke. I took his joke.
yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate that. But yeah, man, it's just I don't know. He's been ridiculous. He's taking 15 threes a game with these other guys out. So as long as he's doing that, he can shoot 30% and hit value. Mavericks defense not great. They definitely improved today, but it's not like they're flying these guys in on private jets. So I think nice spot for him once again tonight.
Yeah, it's a good one. And Jalen Wilson, who the hell is Jalen Wilson? I think we talked about this guy last time the Nets were
I like
shorthanded. We
him.
weren't sure if he was going to play, but then he ended up smashing. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm on him tonight. I mean, 3,100, 3,800. He's projected for
yeah.
modest ownership. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't come in higher because his industry wide projection is it's like 18 or 19, but that still seems really high, and it's enough to get him into basically every lineup that people are making.
Yeah, shouts out Jayhawk, our Kansas guy. But yeah, Jalen Wilson, product of Kansas, really talented player. And I was saying in Discord, I mean, people like to hate on Sean Marks. Like, we tried the super team thing, it failed. But he does a great job drafting late in the first and early second round. I mean, we've seen guys like Claxton, this Jalen Wilson kid, I mean, Cam Thomas, Kuzma before he got traded. The list goes on and on about like him finding talent late. And yeah, we got 3 more second round picks for Royce O'Neal today. So hopefully he can strike gold again. But tonight, again, 8 or 9 bodies. I guess Keon Johnson's with the team. That was one I didn't see earlier. But Jalen Wilson should play probably 26-ish minutes at his price, which is pretty much minimum on both sites. I mean, he's shown he can fill a stat sheet. So I like him a lot here.
And Jose Morales in the chat. Wouldn't we rather have McBride over Dennis Smith? I'm assuming you're talking about for DFS, not for real life. But Jalen Brunson did just get ruled out right now.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll take a look at how that affects because Miles McBride was showing up here. Yeah, he's coming in about 20% ownership on both sides, a little bit more. Oh no, basically the same price as Dennis Smith. He's a little bit cheaper over on FanDuel. Uh, I mean, we'll see how this updates. Miles McBride, we had him projected for 27 minutes already.
Yeah.
Dennis Smith for 33. Dennis Smith with twice the DK value of McBride. So I imagine the model's still going to prefer Dennis Smith, but I'll refresh this in a few minutes and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, honestly, I built a $25 single entry as like my first build, and I'm going to pivot off that. I had both of them in it before the
Yeah.
Brunson news, even. So now with
Yeah.
Brunson out, I like him even more. Again, the Knicks made some moves today. Going to be a pretty thin rotation for them as well.
Yeah, on FanDuel, I mean, just thinking about it, it kind of makes sense. And then over on DraftKings, they both have shooting guard eligibility. So let's go
Mm,
ahead and dive into the guards and let's take a look and see what kind of top end players we're going to be interested. I mean, Luca always at the top, but his like look at OF index always relative to the other players on the slate, but it is lower than it has been typically for Luca recently. And I think he had a pretty blow up game when his ownership finally dipped on the previous one, even with Kyrie in. They both had really good games.
Yeah.
And getting Luke at 10%, 2% ownership. We have a few other studs. Did they give LeBron point? All right, so LeBron's a point guard now. I mean, it's probably accurate, fine.
I don't
But
think he's on the slate.
oh, DK slate, Maine. You're absolutely right. They chopped off the last couple games. Last game on the DK slate is at 6 Pacific time.
Yeah.
But anyways, the other top studs: Luka, Devin Booker, Kyrie, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Jalen Brunson's out. Halliburton, I saw something about they're going to let him run a little bit more. Didn't see any definitive details though, so we'll see. And then Ant Edwards, I'd say, is the last stud that we have here. So who else are we looking at from this top to the end list?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting in Phoenix tonight. I think both Beal and Booker are listed as questionable. So I built my dummy lineup with KD, just hoping one of those two ends up ruled out. It's also a great matchup for them against the Jazz at home. Should be a nice, pacey game there. They made some moves today as well, so they're running a thin rotation. So if either of those guards end up out, the other's going to look good, and Durant's going to look good. Durant's not on the injury report, so he's kind of safe as things stand. But I don't think he's very popular, and the model's not going to love him until we get this news. Oh, we're in guards, but I guess it does matter because if one of these guys is out, the other's going to look really good, and I don't know that both will be ruled out. But again, I'm heavy on Durant, but if either is in, they're going to look exceptional, and I think it's going to take some time for that to update. This is the last game on both
Yeah.
slates tonight. So really, that's just the main point for me to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I was going to be on Brunson here. He's obviously out. My boy Cam Thomas, he's going to see some extra run here. Not the best matchup against Cleveland. I don't know, man. I just think it's so tough to get away from the value today. Really, really like Dennis Smith. Really, really like McBride. And then over in Utah, I mean, they're running thin rotations. Keontae George is going to profile really well off the bench, but Sexton, Dunn, Clarkson should all have to see increased minutes here. They traded away Olynyk, they traded away Fontecchio, someone else too, but thin rotations there for Utah tonight in that late game. So that late game, I mean, definitely a key point for this slate, regardless of whether we have that news or not. So I like the value guards today. I think I'm just going to eat that chalk for the most part, but yeah, I mean, there are a few other spots to consider, I guess.
I think Utah traded Agbaji too, right? So it's a
Agbaji,
few
yep.
a few extra minutes. Like it's just there's so many minutes to go around, and like what you said about this being the last game, this is kind of similar to yesterday in that we had a lot of really good value in that first game, Charlotte and whoever Charlotte played, but then we got the Detroit Pistons. I think every single player on the Pistons went off except for Asar
All of them.
Thompson,
Yeah.
uh, and he was like 50% owned on last night's slate, but. So we're going to see something similar to that tonight, where we know we have some really good guaranteed value when the slate starts, and then it's possible we get some more uh, really low owned value with that last game, since it's an hour after the previous game locks. We're probably not going to have that dues before then. And Dame Lillard is also questionable tonight, and so I don't know that we're going to be rushing to play any campaign, but it's definitely going
He's
to
gone, traded
campaign it. Oh man.
for Pat Beverly.
Oh, all right. So, well, Pat Bev is not going to play tonight. And first of all, great pickup for the Bucks.
Yeah,
They got their Drew Holiday replacement. I don't know.
kind of.
Uh, so maybe it's probably more minutes for Pat Connaughton, who started the previous one. AJ Green. I mean, is this? He's kind of like a mini Sam Merrill, as insane as that sounds. Like if he comes in, hits a bunch of threes, he could get there, but it's unlikely he sees enough minutes to where he's going to matter. But he's pretty cheap. No one is going to play him tonight. As for
But
like other, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, a guy who tends to go overlooked, and he does have guard eligibility, so I guess we're free to talk about him. Is Malik Beasley? I mean,
Mhm.
he's the guy getting all the shots. Middleton's out as well. So even if Lillard's in, I don't mind Beasley. And then if Lillard's out, he's going to see even more usage. We talk about these guys like Crowder, Connington, Green, etc. Like they're not high usage guys. They can't create their own shots. Beasley can hardly create his own shot, but he can shoot. So I actually like Beasley a lot here. Not the best matchup against the Minnesota defense. It's definitely solid, but they're more dangerous in the front court, which should open things up for the spacers and the shooters here. So Malik Beasley, that's a play I'll definitely be keeping an eye on. Can't imagine he gets too popular unless we get that Dame news soon, because we have so many good guard values tonight. But that's definitely a logical pivot, in my opinion.
And like if we're sorting by DK value, Malik Beasley's already pretty close to the top. I mean, he's in the top 10, and without Damian Lillard, I'm pretty sure last time he was even higher, maybe like top 3, top 5 at the worst. But he's going to jump up. It just he gets that usage bump. He took a bunch of threes. I think he made like 5 of them on the
Mhm.
previous game, and so
Yeah.
if we're getting there, it's probably so with Dame Lillard out, this is probably the appropriate price. It feels a little expensive, but you're really just hoping for a ceiling game if we're getting to a 2% own Malik Beasley over on DraftKings anyway. And
Yeah.
then the other guys at the top of value, I mean, Nick mentioned how great the Utah guards look tonight. I mean, Chris Dunn had a blow up game last time. It's just a matter of if they let him close or not. And he basically closed in the last game. He was having a really good game and he was able to get there. Without that last rotation, though, it's going to be really tough since we already have so many other good value guards on tonight's slate.
Mhm.
I mean, so Klay Thompson is out. Brandon Pajemski was just announced in the starting lineup, and I mean, that's why we see Moses Moody up here, 3,400 at 2% owned. I mean, is this a consideration over all the other value we have?
I mean, I really like Pause now. He has
Yeah.
point guard and shooting guard eligibility over on DK. Kind of priced up, but he's shown a very high ceiling. He's been playing better than Clay, honestly. He should be getting most of those minutes. Um, but yeah, I mean, Moody's okay. I mean, he's kind of hit or miss. I mean, sometimes his chalky hits, sometimes he doesn't. I think you're much safer going to guys like Dennis Smith, McBride from the Knicks, a couple of these Jazz guys. But I mean, why not mix in another guard, especially if you're mass multi entering? I don't think you want to be 100% on any of these weird value pieces. Like, they could all fail. And we saw this the other night with Dennis Smith. This is a different situation for him. He is starting here, but as chalk, he went for like 5 fantasy points. So you just know that some of these players that aren't great always are going to have low floors regardless. So I don't know. I like Smith tonight. I'll be heavy on him. But with all these options now, I think you're a little bit better off kind of mixing and matching more than just going all in on any one play. And I think Moody does fit that group. I don't think he starts, but definitely a play I'll be looking at.
So it's a little bit different on FanDuel versus DraftKings. I mean, that $1,000 for Dennis Smith, it matters a bit. Currently, I'm at 93% Dennis Smith over on DraftKings. How heavy are you planning on being over on FanDuel?
Yeah, probably like 78. I'll probably match the field, and he's going to be in my like higher dollar stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like even if this game, I don't even think it blows out because most of their good players are available. But like Simmons is on a minutes limit. They have no guards on the bench except for Keon Johnson, if you even want to call him a guard. I mean, to me, he's more of a wing. So yeah, I think Smith's going to have to play like 35 to 40 minutes here. So yeah, he's tough to get away from. I mean, if there's any piece of chalk I feel good about, it's him. If McBride starts too, he definitely enters that conversation as well. So yeah, Moody's kind of just like a pivot to get to in 10% of your lineups, especially if the ownership stays down. Definitely can't call him as safe as those other options. Again, Golden State has their best players in tonight, other than Clay. So it's not like he's getting a ton of boost in usage. Where we're definitely seeing that with Smith Jr. and we're definitely seeing that with McBride.
So with Dennis Smith, if we're playing in a small field contest tonight, I kind of feel like his ownership is going to be so high that we're not really like he can fail, sure, but I don't think we're really getting that much leverage if we're fading him. And so in small field, I think just lock and load. In larger field stuff, like we can make some decisions, I guess. But I mean, for me, I said I'm at 93. I'm probably going to just
It's
end up
good
at
chalk.
100.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we haven't projected for 33 minutes, so I think we just play him and just let the rest, do something different with the rest of our lineup. I mean, we see how many low-owned value guards that we have. No one else here is above 14%, and it's Chris Dunn and Alex Caruso. I imagine Pajemski's ownership is going to come up. He's not quite value at 6K, but that news just happened, so we'll refresh in a few minutes and see. And then from these other value guys, I mean, they're all like micro-owned. Markel Fultz, Nemhard, Suggs, Grayson Allen. We do like Malik Beasley. Caruso seems fine. Keontae George. If he's closing, he's been closing a little bit recently, and without, I don't know if Fontecchio really matters for him, but just we really want Keontae George to close if we're playing him. But I mean, none of these guys are super appealing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Bulls. I mean, Caruso, Ayo had a bad game, and even Kobe White, if you can get up to him. I mean, all these guys have been solid. Bulls fans are pissed that they didn't make any moves, but still, no Patrick Williams, no Levine. I mean, I'm fine getting to Ayo or Caruso, especially if they stay reasonably owned, and they're just a little bit more expensive, but they're going to come in low owned for that reason. But yeah, other than that, man, it is really tough. None of these guys are really jumping off the page. Yeah.
Well, with the model refresh, so we have Miles McBride projected for 36 minutes right now. Keep in mind, it takes a few minutes for the model to really get to where it's trying to go. So maybe that 36 isn't accurate. But either way, it gives us a good idea that Miles McBride is the second best value after Dennis Smith. And even with the 3 extra minutes that it has in for him right now, I'm sure the ownership is still updating. It's only around 20%. I mean, it should be probably at least double that. But the model's still saying Dennis Smith is superior to Miles McBride. I'm probably going to just be playing a ton of both of them, so it's not really going to matter. I don't think that we should be, Miles McBride or Dennis Smith. It should just be both.
Yeah.
And then no one else here really changed. Anson in the chat, Markel Fultz. Let's take a look at what Markel Fultz has been doing, because I was so excited to play this guy before his injury, and now I just not even considering him. But 28 minutes in his previous game. I mean, is this someone that we could be mixing in with two other top guards?
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, I still prefer the chalk over him. It's just tough in Orlando because you have Suggs, you have Anthony, you have Fultz, and now Harris is healthy too. It's just a super crowded backcourt. Like on any given night, he can 8 to 10x that salary, but you're really rolling the dice on that outcome. It's definitely narrow in terms of its likelihood of occurring. So I don't mind it. That does bring my attention to Trey Jones, though. Everyone knows I'm a Trey Jones stan. I love what he does with Wemby. Not a great matchup for him, but he's going to be unowned and he's reasonably priced. He's a guy probably finishes between 30 and 40 fantasy points. So another way to get different, maybe a little bit of Trey Jones. I can see mixing him in. But yeah, I don't mind Fultz. I don't mind Suggs. I don't mind Anthony, but it's tough for me to take a stand on one over the other. I will say Cole Anthony's been the worst of the group. Probably just leave him out. I don't think we need to go there tonight. But the two starters, Fultz and Suggs, probably worth considering. Pretty good matchup here against the Spurs.
So in terms of like overall roster construction, the field is definitely going to favor paying down at guard and paying up at the other positions today. And so if you find any of these pay up guards ending up in any of your lineups, that's already pretty decent leverage. And like I think it's correct what the field is going to do today: pay down for Dennis Smith and Miles McBride, and just spend your salary elsewhere. But these guys are probably all going to be lower owned than they deserve. I mean, Donovan Mitchell against Brooklyn, what's the spread there? 7 points. That can't
Yeah.
be right, can it?
I mean, like I said, I mean, Cleveland's traveling, and the Nets. I mean, if you think of who they're missing, it's just Dinwiddie and Royce. I don't
It's
know.
probably better for the Nets without Dinwiddie.
Yeah, man. It sucks, dude. I used to like him a lot, and he just became a villain real quick. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Cavs probably win this game pretty easily, but it should stay close at least into the fourth. I think.
Unicorn Love yelling at us in the chat. Halliburton 9,100 on FanDuel. He played 29 minutes last game. Like I said, I think I saw something about they're getting ready to ramp him up a little bit, but at 9,100, if he's not at his full minutes, especially that we're like Miles McBride and Dennis Smith could both outscore Halliburton tonight. Like Halliburton probably still outscores him, but it is possible. And so it's probably just a little bit too risky. I think we have enough other good pay up guards that we can get to, like Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to get to maybe some of the shooting guards or the guys that have hybrid eligibility. That's going to be Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving. I know everyone prefers Luca, but Kyrie does have that shooting guard eligibility. And then you're looking at either Brad Beal or Booker if one of those guys is ruled out. I brought up Cam Thomas before. Always happy to play him, especially when he's not going to be too popular. I thought he'd be more popular tonight, but yeah, I'm always over on him. Sometimes it burns me. He hasn't been shooting well, but he has been rebounding and getting more assists. So I don't mind mixing him in kind of the mid range. But yeah, I agree on Halliburton. Like the first game that he gets his regular minutes, he's going to be under owned. I don't know if you want to bank on it tonight when we have so many good value plays at guard. I just think it's easier to build maybe mixing some of these shooting guards like Mitchell and Kyrie because they're still going to be under owned, but you can still eat the chalk at point guard and mix those low owned guards in and still get pretty different that way.
And I'll just mention Pajemski one more time in the mid range. I mean, 6K, he's going against Indiana, and we
Mm.
love these kind of guys against Indiana that kind of do everything on the stat sheet.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't know if he had a turnover last night, but he had gone 3 straight games without a turnover, which is insane for anyone, nonetheless a rookie. But this is, I mean, his ownership has to come up, but I think this is going to be a spot that I'm going to try to mix in with McBride and Dennis Smith.
Yeah, no turnover last night, but only played 25 minutes. But that means he should be good to get full run here.
And moving on to forwards, of course, Giannis alone, top of the list, 12%, 8% ownership. I feel like this would have been the spot that pulls a little more ownership, since like Luka's low ownership I kind of get because everyone's going to the value guards, but Giannis is a forward slash center, and so I kind of expect this to be higher. I like Giannis tonight.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's not a good matchup. It's a really tough front court defense, obviously, with Minnesota. But anytime you get Giannis in a game that's going to be competitive, you have to consider him because his league averages are all limited minutes. So whenever you're getting him to play extended minutes, I think he's appealing. And again, Middleton's out tonight, which means extra usage. Dame, I think, plays, but if he's out, I mean, Giannis is going to be the guy once again. So, I mean, he's really, really solid here at this ownership. He's probably going to be easy to fit too with all the guard value. So I'm right there with you.
And Peter, be in the chat, Caruso or Pajemski. I gotta think it's Pajemski here. He has a higher usage than Caruso. Caruso's been playing good minutes lately, something we're not really used to seeing from him. But I mean, if these ownerships hold, then Pajemski at 4% just feels like such a mistake. Even if he gets up to like 10%, it still seems like too low.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that game has a 30-point higher total than the Bulls Grizzlies does.
And how about THT on DraftKings? So, dude, the last time the Jazz were on the slate, I don't look at my lineups before I submit them. I just hit build and hit enter, whatever, after I see my exposures are kind of where I want them at the top. And THT was in like 4 of them. And I was so mad about it because, like, why? I know he's been priced 8 minutes, 12 minutes, but he's not playing. He hasn't played in like a week and a half. And so I don't even know why he was in my exposures. Kind of annoying. No Fontecchio, no Agbaji, no Kelly Olynyk. Does THT get playing time tonight? I don't know.
That's the coach. I
Yeah.
mean, he probably should. If you were playing 150, you could mix him in. I mean, Samonik is the guy I think I could see maybe getting some run here. But again, we have so much value with the trade deadline that, like, I don't know that we need to get that cute. Because, like, even if THT goes for 25, 30 points, I mean, there's other guys that are that cheap, like the Jalen Wilsons of the world. Some of these guards we're going to talk about that are probably going to do just as well, if not better. So I don't think it's insane, but it would take me a lot of lineups to want to take that risk.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're playing a GPP within a GPP because you're hoping he plays first of all, and then he has to play well enough. Even though he's a little cheaper than the other value guards, he still has to do better than the other value
You're
guards. And so
gambling twice. Yeah.
it's just not something that we want to do. I think we can kind of keep it simple tonight. We do have to find a couple spots to get different, but every stud is so low owned that it doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
And then Unicorn Love, it wasn't a rookie from Indiana. It was Pajemski that played 25 minutes, and he's had like no turnovers in over a week. So
Hmm.
Collins gets more run. John Collins, this dude's been getting an insane amount of playing time, and it's really annoying because I feel like Walker Kessler is a player that you want to develop here. I mean, Utah's good, but I don't think they're contending. But I mean, this is actually less than I thought 29, 24, 34 over the last 3 for John Collins. So, I mean, he's been pretty consistent 6,200. He's fine.
Yeah, I like him at his price. I mean, he's going to get you 30 to 40 fantasy points. He doesn't really spike huge upside ever. But at the same time, I mean, with Olynyk gone, he should see a few extra minutes maybe. Could maybe help you get there. And then, yeah, just while we're on the Jazz, obviously Laurie looks pretty good here. Again, thinner rotation for Utah than usual. They have a deeper bench. Like, they called up a bunch of G League guys. But yeah, I mean, they're listing Yurtseven. I don't think he's available. Like, some of these guys aren't available yet. So I'm happy to get to Laurie. And again, all these pay ups are cheap tonight. Like, what's going to win or lose is probably going to be which studs you get to and how they
Yeah.
perform. The value chalk is going to be tough to get away from.
And on Laurie, this ownership is insane to me because he's one of my absolute favorite tournament plays tonight.
That's bad. Yeah.
Getting way over the field on him. And we'll talk about Walker Kessler when we get to center, but I'm pretty sure Walker Kessler is probably super underowned tonight too. So we'll take a look at that. But from the top end, I mean, I feel like I'm interested in Wemby every day now that he's playing 29 instead of 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we going right back there? 15% ownership. I feel like it comes in higher because it's coming higher every single day.
Yeah, it's not the best matchup, but at the same time, he's playing 30 minutes no matter what. Really good player in terms of fantasy points per minute. I'm happy to get there. I kind of led off the show talking about KD. I absolutely love him here. And again, if we get one or both of these guards out for the Suns, everyone's going to want to be on him. But if you don't save that salary for KD, you're not going to be able to pivot there. So I'm going to build heavy on KD and just maybe hope one of those guys are out. But if not, you could kind of pivot onto some Laurie as a pivot, get him low owned. Yeah, you're going to be paying up at forward, in my opinion. So these guys are going to look good. With Clay out, Kuminga is going to look even better than usual. He's been outstanding. I like both Orlando wings here. I mean, Banchero and Wagner look fine. DeRozan's probably a little bit too cheap on DK, reasonably priced over on FanDuel. He's kind of popular though, but yeah, I mean, I'm paying up for the most part at forward. All these guys look good to me. Just keep an eye on ownership. I mean, the popular ones right now appear to be Banchero and DeRozan. So if you play pretty much anyone else, you're going to be getting different. And the one piece of chalk I think we're eating is definitely DiVincenzo for the Knicks. No Brunson either. Maybe he takes 23s instead of 15 tonight.
Yeah. So this might be the most insane thing that I've seen since we started doing this at the beginning of the season. Josh Hart with a higher OF index than Pascal, Laurie, than Dante DiVincenzo, Paolo DeMar. Like, this is insane, dude. He's only coming in at 23 and 29% ownership. And a lot of times I talk about we can't project these guys for like really heavy minutes. I know they can get there, but we have Josh Hart projected for 47, Dante DiVincenzo for 47 and a half. And I kind of think that's actually accurate because the Knicks also only have 8 players available tonight. Miles McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Precious, and Isaiah Hartenstein. I imagine that's the starting lineup. And then their bench is Taj Gibson, Jacob Toppin, and Charlie Brown. Like, who the hell? We know Tibbs. He's going to run these starters out 46, 47 minutes tonight. And so if these are the actual ownerships on these Knicks guys, I think that we have to just jam them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, what can you do? You got to play them all. And the thing with Hart is like, of these guys, he's probably my least favorite just because I don't know. He doesn't always take a ton of shots, but you have to figure he's going to here. So I don't know. I'm on Hart, especially at that ownership. DiVincenzo is obviously the no-brainer. We talked about McBride a bunch of guard, but yeah, man, I'm surprised he's not more popular. That being Josh Hart, definitely want to get to him.
And I saw we have questions about Precious and Hartenstein tonight. We have Precious projected for 47 minutes. Like, this is insane because I think this is right. Maybe it's still adjusting for Brunson just coming off, but like, how did they not play 40 plus minutes, all of them tonight? And so I think that they're all going to be under-owned. Even if they come in at like 20%, it's still probably not enough. And so my builds are probably going to end up a bit chalky, but just mix in one of those low-owned guys. That when, like, if you get the 1%, 2% owned stud right with all the rest of the chalk, you're probably going to do pretty well tonight.
Yeah, the other benefit here too is you're playing against Dallas. Today they made great moves getting PJ Washington and Gafford into that front court, but neither are available tonight. So this is Dallas very, very good matchup for both Precious and Hartenstein. So I like both of them a lot here.
Let's sort by value and just see what else. And we had a question about Jalen Wilson tonight. I mean, I'm probably still going to be playing him. It's just a matter of having too much value to where we can't spend all our salary. I mean, it's going to be really easy to fit Giannis and Luka into a lineup tonight. And so if you're doing that, just make sure that you have one of the lower owned mid-range guys in there, or else you're just going to be duped.
Yeah, the last 2 games he got over 20 minutes. I mean, he averaged around a fantasy point per minute. So if he plays 30 tonight, that's 10x his salary. I mean, you're not going to want to miss that. Yeah, I don't know if you want to go 100%, but what's he owned right now? Because I think he should be just as popular as Dennis Smith, and he's a third of the ownership. So I'll probably be closer to 100 on Wilson, as weird as that sounds. But yeah, it's just unavoidable. The Nets only have 8 bodies or 9 bodies because of Keon. Golden State has 10. The Knicks have 8 or 9. I mean, these are the 3 teams we really need to key on at every position.
Keon, nice.
Keon, didn't do that on purpose, I swear.
Top Yahoo values. Yeah, you got it, Thug a Thug. And you can sign up for Occupy Fantasy, see all the changes after the slate locks for $7 a week. But yeah, Dennis Smith, Miles McBride, Precious, Nemhard, I guess. But if Nemhard goes off tonight, I'm just going to throw up. But Chris Dunn, Jalen Wilson, like all these guys kind of make sense for Yahoo value.
Yep. And on that Nemhard point, we did just get word that Smith and Mathurin are in. Mathurin,
nice.
rather. So, not really rushing to Nemhard necessarily.
Yeah, it's like the teams that didn't have anything happen because of the trade deadline today, they're all just going to be under-owned because they're appropriately priced. The reason we're targeting these guys from these short teams is because their prices are they're inefficient, I guess.
Yeah, and the Pacers did move Hield, but they still have so many guys with that team. It's like, I don't know, they're going to fill in minutes with some of these others.
Dude, I can't believe the Pacers traded Buddy Hield and it wasn't to the Lakers, man.
Dude, he only drew 2 seconds, too. The Lakers could have got him. Like, what are they doing?
I don't understand it. I don't know. I'm going to get too excited about Spencer Dinwiddie or whatever signing with us later.
Is it still the crypto arena? He's a big crypto investor, so maybe that's...
It is the crypto arena, but
you want to be paid
for
in
much
crypto.
longer. Yeah. I hope that worked out for him. I haven't been keeping up with it recently. How many Knicks? I mean, Dante, Josh Hart, Miles McBride, and one of Precious or Isaiah Hardenstein. I mean, if I don't set a restriction, I wonder if I'd get a lineup that had the entire Knicks starting lineup.
It
I
wouldn't
don't know.
shock me.
Just scrolling through, I'm getting at least two in every single lineup. Some have three, and very few have four. It's probably just we have so many other values. So I'd say mix it up. And if you're playing 3 to 5 Knicks on DraftKings, then probably want to run it back with Kyrie or Luca. I would say.
Yeah, and it's going to be easier with Kyrie just because he has shooting guard eligibility. But on DK, where you have utility, you could probably get to some Luca.
And then let's see here. Centers, yeah, Walker Kessler, top of center value today. We haven't projected for 26 minutes, which I don't think he's been getting 26 minutes recently, but I'm just hoping that with Kelly Olynyk gone, that Walker Kessler absorbs a bunch of those minutes. I mean, 21, 27, but he was below 20 for a bunch of games in a row, and he's putting up pretty good points per minute. It's just a matter of him being on the court, and it's like, dude, they were talking about the Jazz, or no, the Timberwolves messed up because they traded away Rudy Gobert, and then they traded, and it's like, saying Walker Kessler was basically Rudy Gobert, and it's just that's not true. But Walker Kessler is definitely good at 4,600. I mean, like I said, we have so much value. It might not be necessary, but I love Walker Kessler tonight.
I love the DK price. And it's funny, actually. The whole Gobert thing was D'Angelo Russell was the guard there, and he hates Gobert, and he refused to pass to him. So when they
Love
brought
that,
in Conley, Gobert was suddenly opened up again because they had chemistry from back when they were on Utah. And really, that was all it took. Like, they had to get rid of Russell and bring in Conley, and suddenly Gobert was who he was before. And just thought it was hilarious that Russell, like, refused to pass to him. But
dude. These NBA players are so. D'Angelo
he's
Russell
the
in
most
particular, he's so funny, dude.
He's so dramatic, man. And we've both experienced that as Nets and Lakers fans. I mean, he was rumored to get moved, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he played himself out of a trade, dude. I don't know how often I've ever seen that in my life, but
Well,
I'm not
Lakers,
complaining.
I'll give Lakers Twitter credit. They're the best bullies in the world. I mean, they got Russell back. I mean, when KCP was there, he went from terrible to like, he had a great run in the bubble in those playoffs, too. And pretty sure Lakers Twitter was a big reason for that. But yeah,
Dude,
kudos.
KCP, man, that guy was one of the most impactful players that I don't know how much people realize he actually impacted that championship. If you look at the advanced stats, he was like
He was everything.
he was our third most important player.
And do
Uh,
you bring this up too, and then we could get back on track? Remember when he was on like house arrest and he could only play home games?
yeah, dude.
Absolute
Um,
legend, just a legend. I love
bro,
KCP.
I can't wait till these guys get on podcasts in a few years and just
Uh,
spill.
mm,
Uh, Kleber or Powell tonight? I wasn't really considering either of them. I mean, they're coming in with no ownership, but I think that we have enough better values at the other spots. But if you're going to get to one, the model clearly favors Kleber.
yeah, and they did trade home, so we don't have to worry about those minutes. I don't hate Kleber, but again, I think we have enough value elsewhere. You probably don't need to go there. But I agree. I think it's Kleber of the two.
And let's see some other centers. Who can we actually spend salary on today? Top of OF Index, Giannis has center eligibility, Wemby. I mean, these guys are going to be so popular. I can't imagine they come in this low owned. Hartenstein being third in OF Index ahead of Cat. Like, what are we doing, dude?
I mean, it's the minutes. Like,
42.
I
Yeah.
mean, if he's going to play 42, I do like the spot for Vooch here. I'm very particular about where I play him. Whenever he gets a bit of a size advantage, he tends to go off. I mean, Jackson's a pretty good player, but he's going to be all over the place. So I actually really like Vooch. I'll be mixing him in. I mean, if you have Nurkic, you could use that as a pivot in the late game. Like, I don't know, say Booker and Beal are ruled in. Maybe you can upgrade like a Kessler to a Nurkic, something like that. I just like to think out these scenarios with this late game if this news breaks different ways. Like, obviously, there's a huge edge on that. Shout out to Smitty. Last night he had a ton of that Detroit value in the late game, and I forget what place he came in his contest, but he crushed because he really held out for that news. And there's a huge advantage to that, especially on nights like tonight where there's good value in the early games. But if you can get different and things break your way, I mean, really pays off.
Yeah, I mean, like, do we want to pay up for Cat, Jaren Jackson? You mentioned like we're particular about Vooch. Nurk is fine. Rudy Gobert is fine. Like these guys are all fine. I feel like I just want to play. Like if Precious actually comes in at 8%, I'm going to be way over. Isaiah Hardenstein at 4%, I'm going to be way over. Probably going to end up with more Giannis and Luka than I'm anticipating now that I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I mean, on this front page, I think there's more centers, or there's fewer centers I don't like than I do like. Um, you can make a case for almost everyone in like the top 15 here. Like Draymond looks fine. Probably want to get to Lopez first, coming off the injury in this matchup with Minnesota. Don't love Mobley with Allen there, but I mean everyone else looks pretty damn good.
Dude, Rick Lopez might be pissed right now. They traded away his brother.
And they kept the Thanasis.
They kept Thanasis, man. Like,
Yeah, well, Robin was funny. He was like, "I really appreciated the 10 minutes I was on a team with Pat Beverly." He tweeted, and that went viral. And yeah, he's on the Kings now. Suddenly, I will bring up Wendell Carter Jr. against the
mhm.
Spurs here. He's really cheap, getting a little bit of ownership, but I think at his price, he makes some sense. Just a ton of centers tonight. I mean, I don't know, and you can get to them. So, like, usually I wouldn't be looking to pay up this much for guys like Jackson, Vooch, Nurk, Gobert, but just mix them all in. I mean, and this is how we're getting different if we're eating chalk at forward with guys like Wilson, guard, obviously with Smith Jr., McBride, etc. So, yeah, all the centers seem to be low owned because people are trying to mix and match, but that's probably the best way to go.
And I just want to make sure we mention one more center forward value. Trendon Watford. I saw a question earlier. I think it was in Discord or maybe
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, but asking about him and I already
Cloud.
forgot the guy, Jalen Wilson or whatever. Like, do we think that Trendon Watford is in play tonight? He's coming in at 10% ownership on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, he played 2 games where he got around 20 minutes and hit value. He's in play. Yeah, you can mix him in. Again, it's just the safer values at guard, so I don't know that I want to get there. The Nets also have Noah Clowney with the team, who's a rookie, very talented player. But again, this rotation's so thin, and Cleveland's actually a really big team. I do think that Watford and Clowney can maybe get there, but I do prefer Watford of the two. But they're kind of down my list in terms of preferred value. I love Jalen Wilson, even coming off the
Yeah.
bench here. And Ben Simmons can actually play some minutes at the five, but the Nets are so thin at guard, I don't know that he will. But again, whenever the rotation's like 9 guys, they're all in play. Don't mind Watford. Love Jalen Wilson. And then Dennis Smith Jr. is chalk for a reason. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the best value here.
And Glenn in the chat, is there I think you're saying, is there Milwaukee value safe in FanDuel small person 250 person tournaments? Let's take a look at Milwaukee. The problem is if Dame is in, well, yeah, it all depends on Dame. We won't know until after the slate locks.
Yeah, Middleton's out, regardless, but they did price up Beasley. I don't hate him at 5K, but it's tough for me to call that value. And then you have Crowder, who's going to start, but he's pretty inconsistent. But if you want to use Crowder as a punt, I mean, fine. I'd rather go all the way down to someone like Jalen Wilson, who I keep talking about. Hopefully he goes off tonight, considering how hard I'm beating that drum. But yeah, if Dame's out, I mean, Beasley and Crowder are going to look really good.
I mean, I see this 34% for Jay Crowder on FanDuel with all the other value we have. And I'm not playing on FanDuel today. I thought I was going to play on FanDuel today, but then we got all this trade stuff. So I'm just going to play on DraftKings. But I kind of feel like that's a player I would just X out of my player pool and just get to the other values. I mean, this seems a little bit too much. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. That's a little bit heavy for a guy that doesn't tend to be heavily involved on offense.
Yeah, but for now, I think the player I'm really targeting for Milwaukee is just Giannis, and then I am mixing in some Malik Beasley, but not really too much else from this team. Just we have too many options tonight.
I agree.
Is the Brooklyn value safer? I would say so.
Smith and
Yeah,
Wilson are safer. Yeah. The other
yeah.
guys are a little bit iffy. I don't mind Watford. He's kind of similar to the Milwaukee value if we're ranking it.
It's like with these Milwaukee guys, yeah, they might get more minutes, but they're not very productive in those minutes. Where these
Right.
Brooklyn guys, we know Dennis Smith can get there in short minutes, and he's going to have more minutes tonight. And then Jalen Wilson, he's kind of a little bit, I don't know, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, riskier, I guess, because he's just more unknown. But I think
Yeah.
he's probably still better than anyone on the Bucks tonight.
No, he's looked really good in the few minutes they've given him so far. I'm bullish, so I really do like him. And he's so cheap. Like, he gets you 20 fantasy points. You're probably in good shape.
All right, so let's do a refresh and let's take a look at if anything changed dramatically. I mean, the top values overall: Dennis Smith, Jalen Wilson, Miles McBride, Walker Kessler, Josh Hart, Chris Dunn, Mike Moose. Okay, that's on the late slate. I was gonna say Mike
Give us
Muscala
all
sleeping in there, and then we do have a question. Vince Williams tonight. I mean, he's showing up pretty high in value. I'm actually surprised he's pulling double-digit ownership.
We just got word that Kennard's out too with an
Hmm.
illness, so now
Hmm.
Williams looks even better. In short, yes, definitely.
Yeah, like I would say these top five guys, I'm going to be pretty heavy on mixing in Chris Dunn. I'm definitely going to mix in Vince Williams now, Moses Moody. This group here, though, kind of, I'm not really
Yeah,
excited about these five. I like Wendell Carter, like Nick Precious, Malik Beasley. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know, just pick and choose. Like we have a ton of low end value, so
yeah, pick your
uh,
favorites. But
let's.
Williams looks good though, I will say. And again, it's rare we get matchups for Memphis that are actually competitive. Chicago's been terrible, so I actually don't mind them here.
Um, let's go ahead and try and build a dummy out here.
Let's do it.
So first player in for me, Dennis Smith.
Dennis Smith, Nick
We
Bride,
Yep.
Wilson, DiVincenzo. Just rattling off the
Okay.
obvious.
What position is Wilson?
I think
Wilson
small forward.
is so he's small forward eligible. We'll get DiVincenzo in at looks like the guard spot.
Yeah, he's shooting guard or forward or small forward, so either or.
All right, we got 7,700 for four positions. It sounded like we both like Laurie. Is that the low owned stud we want to go with here?
I think we can fit Laurie and Giannis.
All right, let's do Giannis at
And
power forward. We'll do Laurie
Laurie
at
at forward.
forward. Still 5,200. I mean, 5,200. Walker Kessler's 46.
I mean, I like Kessler. That's fine.
Let's try Kessler and leaves us 58 for utility. Vince Williams Jr. right there. There you
Boom. Yeah.
go. Do we want to try and build one with Luca? See what that looks like.
Yeah, we probably have to pull Giannis.
We have a
Oh,
couple minutes here, so let's take him out. Let's put Laurie. I mean, we could take Laurie out too, since he was kind of a
yeah,
lower
we'll
owned.
see. We could end up with another forward, maybe like DeRozan or one of the Magic guys. But
So Luca at utility, 7K for two positions. I mean, who are the other guys that you liked?
I like Biancharo. He's popular though. Kaminga,
I
73.
still love Kaminga and
We have
don't
Precious or Hartenstein too.
Precious Hartenstein. Yeah,
Hart.
let's put Precious in 7,700 for DeRozan. There you go, Kaminga.
Beautiful.
And we don't even have Pajemski in here, and I love Pajemski tonight. It's just there's only so many roster spots. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, it's a fun slate, honestly. Good slate for MME. I'm hand building 25. I'm like excited to do it. Usually it's a chore. Yeah, love the trade deadline, especially for DFS. And again, this is kind of a quiet trade deadline. Like no big stars really moved, but for us, it is big. I mean, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's a fun day. Peter B, no love for Doncic. We like Doncic. It
We like
just
Dodgers, yeah.
my thing is, yeah, he has high ceiling on a slate. We know this. If we're
And,
playing, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, with so much value, you are chasing raw points with your
Yeah.
studs, and
Hmm.
Luka's the king of raw points. So definitely,
Yeah, I think if you're doing a build similar to this, like none of these guys are going to be under 10%, right? They're all going to come in over 10%. You have to play like a 1, 2, 5% owned player in this last spot. Like I didn't see DeRozan's ownership; it was probably pretty
it's
low,
high.
but
No, it's like 28.
yeah. Kind of same thing with Giannis. So if you're jamming in the good value, the chalk value with Giannis or Luca, just make sure that you find a mid-range guy that's low owned, or else you're just going to be duped. And I wouldn't be surprised if the winning lineup was duped tonight, but maybe someone gets that 1% superstar that just randomly goes off. So
Yeah, like I said, that the Phoenix game late could be the key to the slate. If
there
no
you
one's
go.
going to play
Yeah,
Durant, and then we get Beal and Booker out, and he goes for 60, I mean, bingo. So maybe
yeah,
build for some of that late game and just hope things shake out your way. And if not, I mean, you're left with Durant, who's still a pretty damn good player in a very soft matchup against Utah.
yeah. I think almost no matter what, you're going to get different by playing a little bit more of this game than the field. So
Mhm.
like it a lot. You have any final words before we get out of here?
No, just keep an eye on lineups. Things could get weird today. But yeah, I mean, there's good value. There's chalk value for a reason. The studs are all low owned, so kind of mix and match the ones you like. But yeah, let's crush it tonight. I love the slate.
And we got Jayhawk in the Discord starting in right about now, actually. He's got a little sheet in there for you guys, so instructions in the description below. Pop in the Discord later if we have some stuff and you're not sure what's going on, you have an opinion on something, let us know. But we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Always take care, everyone.